I'm trying to share my screen. Please confirm as soon as you can see my screen. But while we're waiting, I'll do a short introduction and then I'll take, introductions as well. My name is Rukayat, popularly known as Ruki, and I'm the CEO of RQY Careers. And yeah, there you have it. So I'd like to meet you guys as well, because this is the part I enjoy the most, from all the sessions that we have, right? So we're going to use the chat box for this though, because I know if I say we should mute ourselves one after the other, maybe 1 hour after now we'll still be on introduction phase. So let's, use the chat box to introduce ourselves. But while we're doing that, I'd like us to share the meeting link we used in joining this with our friends, families, communities, people that, should come be a part of this. So this session is going to be very interactive. So, save all your questions. If you have questions, save them. You're going to get answers to all your questions today. So even if your friends, that you want to share the links with, even if they're not interested in compliance in particular, but they need something about, moving their career forward, not settling for less, this is the right place to be. So share the link for this session with them. Let's drive up the numbers as well. So yes, while we're doing that, let's keep the introductions coming. Our names, the city we are joining from, what we do currently in the chat box. So I have Awosh Tefaju Oluwaseyi, country Lagos, occupation human resources. Welcome and nice to have you here, Oluwaseyi. Right, Nonso Gloucestershire, support worker. Welcome, Nonso. Nice to have you here. Mayowa Lincoln, paralegal. Nice to have you here. Olayinka Da Silva. I currently work as a support worker. I have experience in compliance and operational banking. Welcome, Olayinka. My name is Omar, based in the UK. I'm a management student transitioning to compliance. Nice to have you here, Omar. Okay, Olayinka says Manchester. Ejimen Ibinoba, City, Wolverhampton, presently working as a regulatory compliance assistant. Nice to have you here, Ejimen. Kelvin Efe, City, London, profession solicitor, and currently an MSc student of business analytics. Fantastic. I like the diverseness of the who will be. I've not read up to 10 introductions, and we have over 25 people here. So what's going on? Where are the rest? So for those just joining, we're introducing ourselves in the chat box, our names, the city we're joining from, and what we do currently. Let's get to know each other, because we plan for it to be an interactive session, and we can, start being interactive from now. So I've got Soju, City, Northampton, profession lawyer, master's student of international business management. Welcome, nice to have you here, Soju. Right, I can see some names that have not yet introduced themselves here. Yeah, we offer a range of courses as well, as you can see on the screen. So RQY Careers, is a UK-based tech company that help people to land their desired jobs through our bootcamps as well as our other services. As you can see them on the screen, we've got data analysis, project management and business analysis, Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint, Scrum Master Product Owner, and more recently, digital marketing. We also have standalone services, for brand optimization, from CV to LinkedIn to interview prep and likes. Right. So as we are done now with the introduction, like I said, it's going to be very interactive. So my first question to you all would be, what does compliance mean to you? Right, based on your own background, because we all have different backgrounds, and because of that, different things will mean different things to us, right? Which, brings in the diversity, of different expertise and exposure as well. So tell me in the chat box, right, what does compliance mean to you based on your industry and based on your previous background? But yes, I can see some responses coming up in the chat box. So following established rules and guidelines in business, with regards to regulation. That's very correct. Right. Do we have any other responses with regard as it relates to what compliance means to you? You can use one word, you can use two words. You know, what does I've heard people that are support workers introduce themselves. I've heard people that are accounting and finance, regulatory assistants. You know, based on your own industry, right? What does compliance mean to you? Right. So while we're waiting for more responses, I would just, take it from my end. So depending on the industry, right, to protect different parties, especially the vulnerable, if it's in the finance or banking area, it would be probably protecting people's deposits, funds, their hard-earned money, right? Or even protecting the entire society as well. That's if you look at it from combating financial terrorism and all that. These are the reasons why compliance, is very important and is in place. So now take Shei's response. Shei says, compliance in human resources mean ensuring your company policies and actions adhere to labor laws in the country. Thank you for that perspective. So that's from human resources perspective, but there's something common, to everything. So there's another response from Ijime saying that, conforming to rules, laws, policies, and standards. One thing common to all the responses that we've had so far: following, ensuring. Those are the adhering, right? Those are the common thing, regardless of the industry. You need to adhere to whatever has been laid down as the rules that guide that industry, right? So there's compliance across industries. There's compliance across different fields as well, right? And then this will make me throw another question to us, right? Hopefully the one we had before was the warm-up, and now we have more responses and we have them quickly as well. So based on the industry that you are currently, who is your regulatory, who would you say is your regulatory body? Some might have multiple, so who is your regulatory body that is laying down the rules that your industry is following? So let's see. So mention the body and I'll guess the industry you work in, right? So Olayinka says CQC. So CQC is, definitely health and care industry here in the UK, right? So thanks for that, right? So CQC, protects the vulnerable. That's, the health and care industry, right? That the care industry particularly are taking care of. If CQC was not in place, people would do, there won't be things like, or there won't be, first of all, things like the policies that have been put in place and also the monitoring of it as well, right? So anybody can just come up and say their care, that they want to start a care company or that they want to start care services. Even people that have been maybe, arrested for those kind of offenses against maybe children or vulnerable people can also still come up if there are no. They say when there's no rule or when there's no law, there's no sin, right? So thanks, Olayinka. Do we have more? Is there a lag in the network or something? Because the responses are not coming as fast as I expected to. Right. So I've got CQC and that's all I have so far. But I would give my own example. So for instance, in the banking industry here in the UK, we would have the FCA. Right, we have the FCA, laying down the rules, just like we have the CBN in Nigeria. In fact, here in the UK, we have two faces of it. We also have the Bank of England, and we have FCA. Okay, someone says Companies Act as well, right? Yeah, so is there any insurance professional here? Let me just, so for those that are in, those that say they're solicitors, right, I'm sure that there are regulatory bodies as well that guide you guys industry. Okay, cool. So moving on. So what are the essentials for the compliance field, right? So if you are, I'm sure that for you to be in this session or in this meeting today, you have an interest in compliance as a profession, right? So getting into the compliance field, typically requires a combination of skill sets and practical experience as well, just like with any other role you're trying to get into. The job market is now very, very competitive, but the good part or the best part is that compliance professionals would always, be required, or the role would always be in demand, because so long as we continue to have financial system, so long as we continue to have new companies being set up and all that, new care homes are being set up every day, CQC would need compliance professionals to help ensure that things are being put in place. They might not call them compliance analyst or whatever in CQC, but they have a name for it, because in CQC as well, there are people that do audits, there are people that also do spot checks, of care homes, to ensure that everything they've set in place are being done, and that's to use CQC, for example. So if we use financial institution as well, for every new customer or every new account a bank wants to open, they need to go through a set of processes, and collect some certain documents from them. These documents are not just to enter the file, it's to be able to ascertain the identity of the person that you're opening accounts with, even business to business as well, business to business relationship as well. You need to be sure that you're dealing with the person you're dealing with. And that is why, you would rarely, I won't want to say impossible, because almost nothing is impossible, right? You will rarely find that, someone randomly will be able to open an account in another entity's name, right, in the same jurisdiction as well, such that, if that happens, then we'll stop believing in the financial system here in the UK, right? Because we want to believe that, okay, for you to be able to open an account for another RKY consulting services, for instance, they should have provided you with, their company's house registration, should have provided you with their memorandum of association, and all those things that makes, that identity to be, our identity, right? So if you would want to trust that any other person that is giving an account number that has those names and as the name, definitely has to be linked to this business. So that's what KYC does, right? But however, we have situations where we have dual names. One person would bear two people would bear exactly the same name. So that's why you need to get other layers of verification, such that you can, bring out the uniqueness from each file or from each individual that you are relating with, right? So what are the prerequisites that you need, to get into the compliance profession? So the first one will be the industry or legal knowledge, depending on the industry you're getting into, right? So if you want to go into CQC, for instance, you can't just go blindly. You need to have the health and care industry knowledge. And not just have it, you need to be able to demonstrate it, right? So if you're also going into the banking industry, then you don't necessarily need to have worked in a bank, but you need to have that knowledge and be able to demonstrate it as well, right? And know exactly, what happens, what is KYC all about. So you need to know it. You need to know what AML and why. What is the why? Why are we doing it? Who are we protecting? And what are the things I need, and how do I go about their day-to-day tasks as well. So we also have regulatory framework. You need to understand, the regulatory framework, familiarize yourself, with the regulatory bodies, the agencies relevant to your field, right? I know I don't want to say that maybe the reason why I didn't get a lot of responses is because you guys don't know, the regulatory bodies that guide your industry, but probably because maybe you guys are unable to type or something. But it's very important, right? Even if you are not a compliance professional, to know, who are the regulatory bodies that guide your industry, right? So training and education, this is also very important. You need to have a continuous improvement mindset, especially in this industry where there's always something new. So you can't afford, right, to be still. Today there's a new policy. As a compliance professional, you yourself, you need to be, up to date with the trends, new policies, new laws, right, such that you can also protect the company you work for, in that way. Because when there are new policies, as a compliance professional, as a KYC professional, as an AML professional, you need to now make sure that you set internal policies as well, that mirrors, what the general one is, such that from the day one, you guys are also conforming to this. There's nothing like ignorance, right? So long as something has been passed as, a policy or a law or whatever, you need to be compliant as soon as they said you have to start being compliant, really. So data protection and privacy measures, right, is also very important as a compliance professional, right, to understand data protection and also data privacy as well. Financial compliance, right? So majorly there's a lot of demand in the financial industry than other areas. But other areas that I know that also require compliance professionals. In fact, compliance professionals are required across board, to be honest, right? So you have compliance professionals in health and care, just like we've said, right? You have them in the legal system. So law firms also employ compliance professionals because solicitors need compliance professionals to do their KYC, to do their AML, to be sure that to be sure that when they represent the clients, they're able to maybe ascertain the source of fund if it's like a deal kind or contract kind of relationship, right? And if it's a mortgage process as well, they need to make sure that the source of fund and the source of fund or whatever are ascertained and clean as well, right? So what are the essential skills that we need to have for this field? Analytical skills is very important. We need to be able to look at things analytically, right? And employ critical thinking skills, problem solving, right? As Lumi used to say, you're going to become like detectives yourself. So you need to be able to solve problems. You need to be able to think logically as well. You need to be able to communicate effectively because you'll be some of you might be client facing while some of you might not be. But even if you are not client facing, you would actually have to liaise with internal stakeholders as well, right? And regulators. So you need to actually have very good communication skills. You need to have very good ethical judgment and integrity, and of course, confidentiality. It's like very, very important skill sets you need to imbibe with. So other skills needed in the compliance field, so you have to be very good at assessing risk. There are methods around assessing risk depending on your industry that would have been laid down. So you need to be good at this documentation and record keeping. This is very important. It's not like you collect people's date of birth on the phone and then there's nothing in file for you to confirm that that's actually the person's KYC or whatever document. So you need to be very good at keeping documents because that's what will even save you. Because don't forget, in this industry, whatever it says, there has to be a sign off, right? So if you have verified that, I've checked this person's funds against pay slips and against salary, against employment letter, how do you prove it, right? You will sign and put your blood, like we used to say it's where I used to work, right? So put your blood on it. You verify somebody's signature, put your blood on it. You verify somebody's whatever it is you verified, stamp it. So before you stamp things, you need to ensure that documentation and your record keeping is top notch. GDPR as well, data protection, continuous improvement, like I said earlier. You need to have very good KYC and AML skills as well. So talking about this career path, right? What is the earning potential in this career path? You can see what the average salaries are for the roles. For some of the roles you can explore after this bootcamp. We've got KYC analyst, compliance analyst, risk manager, financial crime analyst, sanctions, AML, data protection. You can see that none of them is below a certain amount. But this is not to say that everybody will finish the bootcamp and get roles in these amounts. However, you know that even if you're starting with a 45 or a 30 or whatever, you know that that's not the peak. There's some career paths that the highest you can possibly earn is around 30, and that's the peak, right? So you don't want to, if you're trying to transition to a new career path, you don't want to set yourself up in that particular field where there's no going higher than that, right? So that's one of the things to consider, right? So why should you pursue a career in compliance field? So the number one thing which I have said earlier is the high demand for compliance professionals, right? Not even this, now is even getting more, things are getting more, what would I say, more regulations are getting really, they're changing very quickly. And because of that, companies also need to stay up to date, right? And yeah, so there's a very high demand for compliance professionals. And also in addition to that, there are more, payment systems, fintechs, this and that's also starting up because the economy is trying to recover from recession, right? And as a result of this, there is also going to be demand for compliance professionals, right? So for almost all companies we require, not even one, there will be compliance professionals across the different layers, of the departments they have there, right? So career stability, compliance is one essential function in various industry. There's career stability, there's always something. So if you start as a client analyst or something, or you start as a KYC analyst, you can see your path to becoming eventually the MLRO, the chief compliance officer. That's if you want to remain in that, because as we also proceed in our career, we also begin to find areas that we can specialize further in. Right. But the thing is that there's a path for career progression in this field, right? Global relevance as well, right? KYC ML, this is not a strange word across industries. From Nigeria, that these are things that are done because they are like general, what would I call it, regulatory bodies that actually cut across the whole world. We have the FATCA, we have OFAC, we have some of them as well, right? So competitive compensation, just like I showed in the previous slides, professional growth, and then global regulatory trends. So you get to be on top of what is happening worldwide. So right. So now I would now tell you about the RQY Careers Compliance Bootcamp. However, before I proceed, I know that there's a reason, why you are in this session. So as a result of that, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to throw a question out there to us. I'm hoping that the response rate will be as bright as today's weather. Right. So what is the next role that you want to explore? Right. For you, what's the next desired role for you? So what role would you like to share as your success story for your next new job? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks, Lumi. Okay, fantastic. So Osaje says KYC analyst. Farouk says KYC analyst. Fantastic. Kelechi says KYC analyst. Beautiful. That's 3 so far. Do we have more? Okay, Olayinka Da Silva says compliance officer. Fantastic. Sharon says compliance analyst. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right. I love the responses I've seen so far. It means that you guys are in the right place. Right. So now I'm going to tell you about how we can make this happen for you. Right. Olu says compliance manager, fraud analyst. Right. Data protection analyst, data policy analyst. Fantastic. Beautiful. Teresa Ju says, is this linked to corporate governance, that is becoming a corporate secretary eventually? We'll answer that question, later when we talk about what we'll be covering. Does data governance fall into any of these categories? Right. We'll also answer that, later when we talk about what this is going to cover. So Ejime says compliance analyst, Charity says compliance analyst, KYC analyst. Beautiful. Right. So now let's talk about how we're going to make you a KYC analyst, a compliance analyst, a corporate governance professional and the likes. Right. So the RKY Careers Compliance Bootcamp, right, provides not just the training you need to become a KYC analyst, compliance analyst, data protection analyst, financial crime analyst, compliance manager, and the next financial crime intelligence analyst. We also provide you with the practical experience you need to thrive and stand out in the very competitive job market, right? And these are the things you get in our bootcamp. So it's a 5 weeks long training, that holds on Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. So you're going to get live classes, not recorded. And after that, you're going to work on case studies, multiple choice questions and answers, and a lot of cases to give you the practical experience such that when you land a job, you're able to roll your sleeves. And also when you get to interviews, you're also able to talk about practical experience. You're also going to get interview prep, during the course of the 5 days. I think the last week is always interview prep and projects, feedback and everything. And then after that, You'll get your CV done for you, your LinkedIn done for you. So depending on your previous background, right? Because in the bootcamp, we're going to cover KYC, AML, GDPR, financial crime and sanctions, and then artificial intelligence. How artificial intelligence can be used, right, to stand out in this career path. However, depending on the previous experience, we have, because one thing I want us to look at when it comes to acquiring new skill sets is not only looking at these skill sets themselves as a tag, as a role, but rather as skill sets, right? So if, for instance, you're someone who has had previous governance, data governance, corporate governance experience back home, right? Back home by be like maybe in your previous countries or your previous roles. So you know that yes, you have this experience. So you're just joining the bootcamp to gain the UK regulatory, framework aspect of it. Get the CV done and everything, get the LinkedIn done, and get the UK work reference for the projects you work on, and be able to stand out in the job market. So what I always tell people is that they should not look at boot camps, for instance, as just you have to like your previous experience is also very important. For instance, I had a student, one of our students from one of our other boot camps, share a success story. She got a finance manager and finance controller role. She enrolled for project management and business analysis. She already had finance professional background, right? And then she now came to PMB to learn, to gain that skill set. And then after that, she positioned herself as a finance business analyst, And guess what? She was able to land a finance manager and financial controller role because of her exposure to business analysis and skill sets, tools, and everything. Because she said the interview was heavily on process improvements, which is part of what you do as a business analyst, process improvement, process mapping, and all that. Even though the title was finance manager, but guess what? She brought her finance. She added the BA related skill sets to it, and then she was able to position herself for 2 visa sponsorship jobs. This is an era where a lot of people are saying there are no jobs. There are no jobs. Someone is getting 2 visa sponsorship jobs. She even says there's a third one on the way. One offering her £80,000 for a start, and another one an NHS Band 7 role offering her 57 or thereabouts £1,000. So this is an era where there are no jobs. So it's about having and understanding the strategy, knowing your key advantage and how to combine your key advantage to your own favor. So so I want to believe that has answered some questions, but I'm happy to take more questions. So we can take this course, right? So this course is ideal for early beginners. If you've not had any work experience before, this course is perfect for you. If you're also a foreign trained lawyer and ex-banker, we've had a lot of foreign trained lawyers succeed, right? Or succeed and get their success stories in little to no time. And this is because a lot of foreign trained lawyers, right, they don't always know where to start from when they move to the UK, because they can't just practice as a lawyer or solicitor here. At the same time, if you want to become a solicitor in the UK, you have to take your time and spend a lot of money going back to school and all that. However, depending, even if you want to go back to becoming a lawyer, at the moment you need to do something, right? A lot of people always, compliance and data protection and all this, there are also career paths you can explore, right? If you don't want to go too far, from doing, what you used to do before as a law professional, right? Right. So foreign trained lawyers enroll for this course, and they're always able to get compliance professional roles, even in law firms here in the UK. Also, ex-bankers, people that have bank experience on their CV, right, always stand very good chance as well. This is not to say that you need to be either of these two, because compliance is required across industry, right? But it's always good to know your own advantage. Okay, I have bank experience. It means that I will be applying more to bank. This is where they will pick my CV and they will see industry experience and favor me, right? So that does not mean that other people too cannot enroll, but like I always tell all our students when I coach and mentor them, you need to know your own advantage. Where do you stand out? Everybody needs to find their own corner, because this market is so competitive, right? So anyone seeking a career in KYC compliance, accountants, finance professionals that want to integrate or get into the banking industry, right? And this is not to say that you need to work in the banking industry, right? So CEOs, corporate executive, risk managers. So anyone at all really that wants to get into, the compliance space, right? So what are the competencies we gain in the bootcamp? comprehensive regulatory knowledge of how things work in the UK, KYC and AML, data protection and privacy, GDPR, financial sanctions, risk assessment and mitigation. So what are some roles that you can apply for at the end of the bootcamp? These are just some, not limits. Like I said, what you are bringing to the table can also influence what you eventually position yourself after the bootcamp. So what are you bringing to the table? So if you're a governance professional, it means that you are bringing governance to the table. It means that you've been able to coin out a unique place for yourself, such that you are not getting to compete with the rest of people that will also be attending the bootcamp. You are not just a compliance analyst after the end of the bootcamp. You are whatever it is you want to be. That is a blend between governance and compliance. Right. So AML analyst, compliance analyst, risk analyst. So these are fields that we've seen our students get success stories in. Compliance officer, compliance analyst, CDD analyst, business compliance analyst, AML investigator, KYC QC, policy and procedure analyst, periodic review analyst, to mention some as well from my head. Right, so talking about visa sponsorship, which a lot of people always want to know, does this career path offer potential for sponsorship? My answer is usually yes, right? It's usually yes. And based on what you can see on the UK government website, right? So we've got a list of codes that you can explore. Sorry, I'm looking at the other side. It's because I'm using two screens. Right, so you can see we've got compliance officer here under code 3520. So we've got there are 2 pages. Okay, yeah, 2 pages. So we've got the QC, policy control, we've got compliance manager here, financial regulator, we've got quality assurance manager, quality manager. So all these are related to regulatory, QA, not the engineering or manufacturing quality assurance. So we've also got fraud analyst here, investigation officer, and the like. So these are some roles that that are related to the skill sets you gain in the bootcamp. So here are some success stories as well from the bootcamp. We've had people learn different roles, from compliance analyst, compliance monitoring analyst, conflict, CDD and conflicts analyst, KYC analyst, periodic review analyst, senior account officers, and okay, so here are more senior account officers, data protection officer, risk and compliance officer, transaction monitoring investigator. Right, and like I always say as well, you don't necessarily need to like limit yourself to the title that we've seen here. Depending on what you also bring into the table, which that okay, I already have skill sets for this. I'm getting this from RQ. I want to position myself for a blend of the two, right? Yeah, sometimes as well, you can also go for something that is not even like common. Like in the UK, the way they coin out roles, right, it's always based on their needs. So they can combine, KYC and projects manager together as a role, or combine business analysis and projects and AML together as a role as well. So it depends on what they need, right? So that's why there's always no harm in actually learning more, continuous development and all that. So based on everything I've said, you also get you also get a certificate of completion. We are CPD UK accredited. We are also ACTD USP accredited, and we are also listed on the UK government website as a training provider. Right, so we have an LMS which you can still access 12 months after the bootcamp, where all recordings and other resources like interview prep and all that are uploaded to. You also work on projects which will go on your CV as work experience, right? So you would also access interview prep. You get UK work reference. You can also continue to be part of the alumni community. In the alumni community, we provide post-bootcamp support in the area of bi-weekly interview prep. So after the bootcamp is over, say for instance, 3 months after you have an interview, you can always come to the bi-weekly sessions, bring your job description, let's look at it together, let's review it together. If at all they tell you also prepare a slide, prepare this, you can do your draft, bring your draft to the session, get a review of it, right? And also we have monthly webinars where we bring different experts in as well to expose us to other areas we can position ourselves in these very competitive markets, because there's always something new to learn, really. So in previous sessions like that, we brought immigration consultants and scrum advisors. We brought global talents, beneficiaries in. We've brought people to come teach us how to apply for jobs in NHS, in the civil service, basically limitless. For me, the moment I meet somebody that I know that, okay, this person has got the skill set that will benefit my people, then I'm like booking the person down to come talk to, to us. So based on all this value of, on ending support you will get, the value of this course should actually be £1,500. However, because we know that, we are serving an audience, that are new and trying to navigate the job market and all that, the training is actually at the discount at £599. So the next cohort for this class starts August 7th. Right, and as a result, you can pay in 2 installments. You can pay 50% today and pay the balance by August ending. So you can pay £299 today and then pay £300 by August ending. Right, is it August 7th? Let me check my calendar. Is August 10 or 7th? Oh, okay, August 10 is Saturday, not 7th. So yes, the next cohort starts August 10th. Right, so pay 50% today or this July and then pay the balance by August ending. So if you also are joining from Nigeria and you want to know what the Nigerian special discount is, you can send a message to any of these numbers on the screen and then they will take it up from there. You can also send us a DM, right? You can also send us a DM and we would send you that. However, also if you are hearing this for the first time, you're not ready, you're doing your dissertation or whatever, and you want to join the next course starts September. You can start paying towards that. For that one, you can pay in 3 installments: £199 today, £200 in August, £200 in September. Right. So here are more success stories. Someone that got a compliance analyst role with a legal firm in the UK. Someone that got a KYC analyst job in London. Someone that got a senior account officer job in a bank here in the UK. So here are more success stories again. Data and information service officer, KYC analyst, operational research, commercial finance analyst. Okay, 2 compliance roles after the RKY UK Compliance Bootcamp. I just got a compliance assistant role with the Borough Council in UK. Yeah, basically, that. So here are companies, where some of our students have landed jobs, financial institutions, law firms, fintech companies, and the likes. Right, so at this juncture, I want to introduce us to our facilitator, who would also briefly share with us one or 2 things about what you get in the course and also his own journey. But before I bring him on board, do we have any questions at all with regards to anything I've said? Right, so let's drop our questions in the chat box and then we can take all the questions after. So you can start dropping your question while I bring on board our facilitator. Our facilitator is a dual qualified solicitor. So for those of you that introduce yourself as solicitors or that have plans or that, foreign trained lawyers, he was also a foreign trained lawyer and is also still a solicitor here in the UK, but still found his way back into the compliance industry with over 12 years experience, right, in the UK compliance and KYC industry. So yes, I have Lumi here. Lumi, thanks, and you can take it from here.
All right. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry for the small glitches we had earlier on. Thanks for attending this meeting, and it's just to show you what we do here at RKY. So I'm the facilitator for the compliance arm of things. We also have other things like data. We have business analysis. We have some other stuff. Anyway, so my mission is to make sure that you understand the practical aspects of the different modules we are covering, which will be KYC, AML, sanctions, and GDPR. And also we have an additional interview prep session. One thing I can say is that what makes a difference between what we provide and what others provide is the continuity and the longevity of the relationship we have with you. Because Our interview prep is an everlasting engagement which we'll have with you, because we have interview prep sessions twice a month, every month. So it's up to you. If you want to attend, you can join the family of people that just come and attend every 2 weeks, and just you know listen to others, what challenges they've had in the sector, interview questions and all sorts. So it's something that is permanent. So it's I don't know if you get a better deal out there, but it's something that you can just come every 2 weeks, bring your interview questions, bring your challenges. You want to talk about what qualifications or something, everything you want to discuss, you're welcome to discuss it with different cohorts. So another good thing about our program is that we're actually also very practical. So it's just to make sure that you understand what you need to do from day one. So assuming you just start the job, working in one of the different roles on day one, you know exactly what to do. You would have an understanding of the legislation that gives life to whatever compliance solutions you are providing. So definitely, you are learning from the source. We're also guiding you, holding your hands to make sure that you're able to interpret the legislation for the Money Laundering Act 2018, the Fraud Act, the Bribery Act, the GMLSG, which is the UK guidance, the Financial Action Task Force, which is the global body on financial crime and terrorist financing and everything. So this course actually is it's a very good course. It helps you to understand the challenges we face as humans with the money laundering and terrorist financing side of things. You will have an understanding, and then of course, if maybe someone would have used you as a money mule, or by one way or the other, you'll be able to advise other people on money laundering, or how to prevent terrorism, or just GDPR, how to save data, how to make it more difficult for the hackers to get your information. So those are some of the things we will be touching on, and these are not really difficult things. I won't say difficult at all, because one way or the other, you're exposed to GDPR. One way or the other, you're exposed to KYC, because you all have bank accounts. One way or the other, I'm sure you're annoyed with the politicians and all that and everything. You'd probably have heard about money laundering, corruption and all that. So all these topics are not new to you. We are just opening, we are just expanding your mindset, and just you are just transitioning, and our plan is to rebrand you. And I can tell you my own story, which is quite brief anyway. So I jackpot, that was a long time ago, and I was practicing in Nigeria, and I just thought maybe I'll get a reasonable job here and all that. And when I jackpot, the next thing I went for an interview in my suit and all that. And I thought maybe, it was just a bit, it was a shock to me. And then I started walking, and then everybody was now asking, why are you wearing suits and all that, And then the next thing I just found out that, wow, all these hustle jobs that you would not expect that you'll be doing, you find yourself doing them, blue collar jobs and everything. So it takes a lot to get yourself out of that situation. It's one of the most humbling moments, because you now think, what's the way forward? And nobody is going to come and save you. So I didn't have RKY or any of these training outfits out there. We didn't have them then. That was a long time ago, and you had to do your stuff yourself. So moving from one job to the other, trying to get the better job, a lot of people were getting involved in security, everything. It was all sorts, even to get a job in M&S, McDonald's and all that was almost a big deal, So yeah, we all started from there. But nobody held my hand. So I think I had a delay in the process, because I didn't have a mentor that would tell me, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how your CV should be. Everybody's applying like this. Why don't you use AI to do this task? Why can't you be more efficient? And it's all about competition. So sometimes we just need to make sure we have the right gear to compete, because we don't know who we are competing against. If you are applying for a job whereby the person is um, heavily invested in studying the GMLSG and has all the FATF recommendations off their fingertips, it will be difficult for you to outpace them at an interview. So any advantage is an advantage. It's necessary. So at that point in time, we just had to read, do a few courses and all that. Luckily, I got into banking, and it was a difficult journey. And then finally found myself in AML compliance and KYC. And then covered different roles and all that. And yeah. So the difference here is that RKY is going to act as a bridge from where you are now, and then now transition you to rebrand you as a new compliance professional, But I have to be very truthful about it. Most of that rebranding and most of the work depends on your own effort and attitude. So, we will definitely show you what you need to know to be the best. You also have to, if you don't mind, put in the hours for you to achieve your goal. So, definitely we have to help you compete and to achieve your goal. You want to get a job in banking, you want to get a job in a law firm, you want to get a job in an oil company, all those places need compliance staff. And, yeah, so I just have to show you, if you are performing GDPR, what are the things you need to do? What are your impact assessments going to look like? What are the responsibilities of the processor? Okay, so you need to know all those things. How do you get the contracts? How do you make sure that you've complied? What's your backup plan? What's your plan for cyber security? I'm sure you guys are aware of what happened yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago or something? Anyway, we had a breakdown
Yesterday.
in the yesterday. We had a breakdown in the IT systems of all these companies. That just means their cybersecurity person has lost their job, because they've really lost billions. Stock exchange everywhere, hospitals everywhere. So I'm now wondering, such large organizations, how come they don't have a backup plan? So that just means, cybersecurity, GDPR, things like that, compliance are here to stay, and they said nobody hacked it. So that's even more interesting. So yeah, just giving you guys an interesting overview of the compliance world. I don't know if the CEO is looking for a compliance analyst role to show you guys what we plan to rebrand you as when we finish the training. Yeah. So I don't know if I have 2 more minutes. I'll just quickly talk about.
Yeah, go on, Lumi. I didn't know my screen was showing what I wanted to show them the different industries that we have compliance jobs in. After you are done,
Okay. Yeah. So we do have compliance in every large organization has a compliance department, because they have to comply. So compliance just means we have laws and regulations that we have to find a way to comply with them, and that entails having the technology, the resources, and the right culture to implement these things. Yeah. So for the KYC AML side of things, one of the things you're going to learn is how to perform KYC on different entities and to understand the different structures, and also to understand how to get this information without disturbing anybody at work. So like you want to do KYC on maybe a company like Tesco, a listed company. We'll teach you where to get the list of directors, how to get the list of shareholders, how to get certificates of incorporation, how to get the formation documents, how to get the annual reports, how to analyze all this, and how to make a decision. Also, how to understand PEP risk, sanctions risk, and adverse risk. So, yeah, that's one of the things, the major thing you'll be doing on the KYC project. On the AML one, you have transaction monitoring, where we will be talking about the red flags and also about different software and systems and different anomalies, things that they might ask you during your interviews and all that. So you understanding how to make a suspicious activity report to the NTA, you also being able to investigate a case, and also, adduce the right information from the facts and the evidence before you. So yeah, you've been able to identify the red flags, and it's not difficult, and work as a detective or something like that. I don't know. So developing the way you reason and investigate people and all that. So because we have ongoing monitoring, we are not just onboarding clients, we are also monitoring all our clients in all the banks to make sure that they comply with what they've told us. If there are any discrepancies and all that, we investigate, and then if it's suspicious, we report to the NCA. Then we also have sanctions, which is interesting. As you can see, is an all evolving. It's a very how would I say, it's a very expensive area, because complying with all the sanctions means that you have to have real-time compliance, you have to have real-time solutions, you have to make sure you have horizon scanning to detect new sanctions and all that, especially when you're having this Ukraine war. You have people added to the SDN list on a weekly basis, and you transacting with them means you violated. So ignorance of the law is not a defense. So you have to understand sanctions, how you have to understand the prohibited transactions. Where do you get your information from? How do you sit down? How do you get serious with work? How do you write your report? What's the 50-50 rule? And what are the different regulators, as CEO has said? We have OFSI, we have OFAC, we have all sorts. So, and also just to give you an understanding of where technology comes in and all that. Then we also have GDPR, which I've spoken about. Then we have the ICO office, and that is regulator, Information Commissioner's Office. And what are the different responsibilities for the different players? Yeah, we have to identify the different players, and we also have to identify what needs to be done. We have to find a way to comply with Article 5 of the GDPR. So the difference between the European GDPR and the UK GDPR will also be discussed and all that. So some of these courses are interconnected, because AML, KYC, and sanctions are basically being done in one place most of the time, even though they could be separate. So you are getting, you are able to apply for more jobs because your study is a bit broad. That doesn't mean it's not going to be deep, because it's still going to be deep, because we still have sessions that are continuous, and we're also sharing live with you the information you need. You're also already brilliant, established, intelligent people. So what we are doing is we are just changing the cap you're wearing. So just trying to give you the compliance cap, where you are just changing your mindset, and it's not going to be difficult. So I hope I've not spoken too much. I'll hand over back to our CEO, and then hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Lumi, for giving us insights. I think we have a couple of questions. So the question is, for the bootcamp starting August 10th, so one can do 50% by end of July and balance by August, right? Perfect. So between now and July ending, you can pay your first installment 50% and then balance by end of August, right? Up until the start date, you can pay, secure your slots with 50% and balance by end of August, right? So what is the structure of your interview prep session? So within the course of the bootcamp itself, there will be an interview mock preparation that will be done, between Lumi and yourselves. However, after the bootcamp has ended, when you get your CVs, when you now start getting your job interviews, you have access to get support in our bi-weekly sessions, where you can bring your job description in. So this, for instance, you have an interview. So, and I would say that I would say, don't wait till you get that interview, because maybe the day you now get the interview might be a day before another session or some days before another session. At every opportunity you are free and you know there's something, because there's nothing we do here that is not valuable. If we've said there's a meeting happening at social time, you don't have anything to lose if you join. So even if you don't have your own interview coming up, there's somebody that will have an interview coming up, and whatever advice they give that person will definitely be applicable in your situation as well. Right. So on a bi-weekly basis, is it bi-weekly or bi-month? Bi-weekly is twice a month, right? Fortnightly. Right. So not twice a week. So every 2 weeks, we have interview prep at 6 to 8 p.m., 7:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday evenings. Right.
Yeah.
So you come in, bring your, there would have been a general interview prep as to how to like answer general questions, how to, use ChatGPT, how to do this. That would have been done. But you now still have an opportunity to analyze your job description with somebody. Some people, it's just that final confidence that you have got everything you need in you. You can do it, So you don't need to go and pay somewhere else for another interview prep just to get that level of comfort. However, even on our LMS, based on historical interview preps we've had, you have loads of resources to digest, and embrace yourself with, right. So are there two softwares that will be learning with Power BI BA2 relevant to the analyst side of things in KYC AML? Right. So Power BI is not part of the tools we'll be learning, right? However, there are tools that learns, right, like what's it called? World Check and all that, the screening tools. However, there's already a free Power BI course that all alumni have access to. This happened in May, so you can still get the link to learn how to build dashboards with Power BI. And again, from time to time, we bring like a monthly or general course that everybody comes to learn. So last month it was Power BI. It could be Excel or it could be something else. This month it could be Jira. It could be something that you get to benefit from as well, right? So and also we have a standalone Excel and PowerPoint class. It's just £50. You can even do it alongside this course, because classes for that one is 2 to 4 p.m. So it doesn't clash with this 2 to 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. I highly recommend, right, that we actually all enroll for that course, because when you get into the, what's it called, when you like start interviewing and all that, you see that there are some roles. I think there was somebody that reached out. I think he had a financial crime intelligence analyst or thereabouts role. It's financial crime, but there was an analytical side of it. Actually, it would have been good if you knew how to do everything together, but we can't put it all. It's just like saying, okay, because analytical skills are important, then we combine KYC plus with data analysis. It should be an unending, it should be an unending bootcamp, right? However, there has to be like, a time frame and ending, and that's why we have other courses. So this Excel and PowerPoint course is something that everybody will benefit from, in the sense that you get to like learn how to like do your presentations you need, for those of you that have not been doing that before, and advanced Excel where you actually build your dashboard. This is an area where it's about demonstrating your skill sets. Say for instance, you're able to now build dashboards with Excel. There's nothing stopping you from putting it on your social media, on your LinkedIn, to show that okay, you build this, you build this dashboard, blah 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 blah, for your clients. Of course, you need to be careful in your own industry, because there's a lot of confidential information, so you can't be doing analysis of your internal data. Right. So yes, basically, I think that answers that. With this, would we still need the ICA certification? So yeah, this gives you practical work. Is in practical work experience certification. Don't forget that there are different types of trainings that have different objectives. You get a certification, a CPD, certificate of completion. However, that does not replace the ICA. So the ICA is a professional body, that you probably register with. They'll give you the materials that you have to read and pass. So this is not a exam preparatory bootcamp. It's a practical experience-based bootcamp. Right. So depending on where you now decide to pursue, because compliance is very wide. There are so many professional exams as well. And just like this, so your first job will now determine which one you want to specialize in, to like forge a career path from that. So this is not an ICA preparatory exam. Is there an option for one-on-one prep? Right. So the one you will get in the bi-weekly session is almost a one-on-one, because it's a voluntary meet. Sometimes it's just 5 people that are there. It's just you and the coach, right? So you get your one-to-one. It's just that there will be, of course, other people listening in, but you get your one-to-one. So it's not like a general class kind of thing. Right. So your class, is it one-on-one? No, it's cohort-based. So with this, okay, for compliance, is there an option for one-to-one interview prep? I think I just answered that question now. Right. So I don't know, do we still have more questions? We have your hand up, Eliaza. Are you unable to drop your question? So is this applicable for people in Canada or just UK? So I mean, you can join, people join from anywhere in the world, really, right? It's just like you've heard that people here are from different industries. However, they'll take the knowledge here, their background and everything, and be able to use it to forge something, for the industry they really want. Right. So you can also join from Canada. The regulations all mirror each other. There's like a general body that actually defines and sets all this, anti-money laundering policies. Then we have the FATCA, and everything. Right. So yes, it's applicable and you can use it as well. You can use the skill set and experience gained from this anywhere in the world, really. So sorry, I didn't get a response on the ICA certification. So I said it's not an ICA preparatory exam. I mean, booth training is not a certification preparation training, it's a practical experience focused training. What that means is that when you want to do your ICA, and you register, I'm sure they'll give you materials. Oh, Lumi, do you want to answer that question? Saying that you're an ICA person. Lumi?
Yeah, so it's just an overview and it has a practical angle. It's not it doesn't follow the ICA syllabus because it's more practical stuff. Because what we notice in the market is that there's a lot of theory out there, but we want people to be able to jump into work and being able to work as a KYC or AML analyst, sanctions analyst, and also having theoretical knowledge, and that's what it's supposed to be on.
Right. So I don't know if that answers your question now, Teresa Ju. So like I said earlier, there's so many, there's outcomes, there's charms also, there's so many of them, right? However, what people need to get a job is the ability. They won't ask you for, there are some jobs that will ask for ICA and everything. There are so many other jobs that won't as well. Right. So what they will ask you is questions about how you've done this, how you've done that, rather than certifications. So as you can see on my screen now, because I think I went to check, I just put in, compliance jobs. What I wanted to just show you is to see the range of industries that we have compliance related with. So you can see Amazon. Amazon is an e-commerce tech company, I believe. We have EDF. So this is contracts manager. You can see the salary 45 to 60K. So for those of you that are like in previous legal practitioner, right? So I'm sure to be a contracts manager, you don't necessarily need to be qualified lawyer, right? But with your UK compliance experience, plus, the skill sets you already have, you can position yourself for this kind of role. So we have compliance executive. This is a recruitment company. You can see up to 100,000 in a year, right? So you might not be, you might, or who says you might not even be able to position yourself for this kind of roles from day one, right? Depending on what you already bring on board, right? So because we are all at different levels, we are using this bootcamp, right, as a stepping stone to get to the next level for us. So the next level for us is not the same for everybody, right? So we've had people that finished this bootcamp and were able to get a job of. There's one guy, I can't remember his name now. He got a 1,000 per day job after our bootcamp, right? And it was still in Nigeria. Then he got it from Nigeria. So I mean, the sky is the limit, right? He had to leverage his previous experience, of course, and they needed somebody that had like tech or like what would I call it now? And we have people that are back in Nigeria. They got jobs with the payments companies, right, in Nigeria as compliance professionals. So it depends on what your brand is saying, right? So we have head of compliance. This is born education. So this is an education. This is an education industry. So you can see 59 to 65. We have risk, regulatory, and compliance graduates program. So this is a graduate program as well. So we have compliance consultants, SDC 32K. We have compliance. So this is a legal firm, right? So compliance officer, signature recruitment, so compliance assistant. So just to see different industries. So there's chief compliance officer and MLR role, 100k to 150. Of course, you continue to also build, your brand as well. As to, you can see that there are different parts. So you can say that me, I also become MLR at the end of the day. A lot of people don't even want to be managers. Some people don't mind just being, analysts and, specializing in different areas as well. So we have finance and contracts manager. We have, this is also 90k, compliance analyst, regulatory compliance senior associate, 45k to 50. So you can see the prospects based on what we are looking at, right? The variety of industry. So this relocation to Bermuda, 107 to 123k. Lumi, should we start considering moving to Bermuda now? Or how did you pronounce it? So head of risk assurance and compliance, 69k. So this is action for children. So this is like a health and care industry, right? So we have HSC and compliance professional and compliance officer, 35k. So someone that has an HSC previous background now, coupled with compliance, you'll be able to position for this kind of roles. Or someone that has like all these HSC certification, like NABOSH and Irish or whatever. So this compliance care manager. Can you see that for those of you that have care industry as well, industry experience? So right at home credit. So this is just to drive home the point that even in care industry, they need compliance, professionals. So you can see compliance engineer, compliance analyst, and the like. So I'll go back now to take questions and, let me go back to the original screen. Right, so thanks, Lumi, once again. So, to secure your start, like we said, okay, I think I have some questions. Okay, so how about experience? How is it done on CV and LinkedIn? So when we get to the CV and LinkedIn stage, after like the 3rd week of the bootcamp, where you've learned, KYC, AML, and some other parts of it, so we send you like a survey to get, okay, what do you want on your CV? So even though we've all learned the same thing, everybody has the liberty to choose the target role they want, because we know that with the skill sets you've learned to campus and the background you are bringing to the table, which is your uniqueness, you can decide to position yourself for different roles. So you can say, okay, I want compliance and KYC. The next person can say, I want data protection, right? I want this, I want that, right? So, but make sure that the combination you choose is a blend, such that, okay, we would give you the most recent experience, and then your previous experience can actually be aligned in a way to suit the one. Say, for instance, if you're choosing governance or something, we know that it wasn't really a heavily governance program we did, but if you are bringing governance background to the table, then we can, optimize it for like, governance or whatever title you choose that's your target role. So when we get that, then we optimize your CV in line with that. We send it to you, you review, you confirm if you're okay with it. After that, we move on to your LinkedIn. We let your LinkedIn sync with your CV, do a couple of tests for you, connect to recruiters, do a couple of applications as well for you, just to get your CV, kickstart your CV and get it running. And then we advise you on things to do to continue to optimize your LinkedIn, because LinkedIn optimization is not a one-off process, right? And then after that, your CV would have carried the most recent experience, the one gained from the bootcamp as well. And then, basically, and then after you start getting your interviews, your calls, we are here every step of the way. You also have a community, the people you are learning with, your cohorts, your cohorts, you can drop questions in the group. We are there, I'm there, the facilitators are there, your fellow members are all there as well. When you have interviews, share your journey as well. Oh, I've got an interview this day. Can anybody, sometimes just drop the question. The answers are just, a click away. And then when you can as well, join the weekly interview or by monthly, twice a month interview prep, and get the support you also need. Right. Down to we share your success stories. Right. So well understood. Good to know. I don't have a background in law or anything related. You don't need to have a background in law. You don't need to have a background in law. Right. You've seen that all the ones I even looked at now, most of my education, there's compliance everywhere. Wherever that your background is what, is either that or it's just pure KYC. Don't forget that anybody can be KYC and AML. So if you don't have any background you want to leverage, then you can just position yourself for pure, so if you're a customer service professional, for instance, there's a client onboarding analyst, which is also like a KYC area of customer service. So there's always something for everyone. That's just true. And guess what? You're actually dealing with, the best CV and LinkedIn service, in the UK. And this is not like a brag. We've been in the business of optimizing for people that have zero experiences, right? And helping them to get jobs with this long before we even started doing boot camps. This is why we are one of the best as well. We have the track record of success stories now, because not only do we train people, we know how to put their skill sets, perfectly on paper for them to get them the interviews they need. We have people also that book our services that are not even our students as well. So you are in good hands every step of the way. You don't need to finish your boot camp and go and start looking for someone that does not even know what you learned to do CV for you. Right. So how about years of experience? Sometimes it's stated, how do we navigate that? So like we always say, your previous experience you are bringing, you're not throwing it out of the window, is also going to be important in building a brand for you. Right, so we're just going to be optimizing those your previous experience to be more in line. Let me give you an example. No two customer service experience are always the same. Do you agree with me? So a customer service professional that is working in a bank, and a customer service professional that is working with an RKY, and a customer service professional that is working in a project tech company, their day-to-day won't be the same. A customer service professional that is working in a bank or a financial institution is more likely to be doing more KYC related activities, isn't it? So a customer service person that is working in a project related environment is more likely to be talking to sponsors, clients, and all that. While a customer service person that is working in a tech, or what's the other scenario? Like let's say a data driven environment, right? A data company is more likely to be just to know more about data. And this is the flexibility we have in making your own customer service experience, say for instance, that's your background, to be related to the industry that you want your CV to be targeted at. Not in order not to, I want to believe that is understandable. So even if your job title is not changeable, what you did on a day-to-day under that job title can still be optimized for the target role you're trying to apply for. I'll leave it at that. So what I said earlier, you are in good hands. So even if you have 10 years of experience and it's not necessarily KYC, there's still a way you can bring out the experience you want out of that your job title to make it fit for the new role and to demonstrate the long experience you need as well. So KYC jobs do pay well. So this is Olu. I've seen some KYC jobs pay daily and within the range of 250 to 750, depending on the industry, company, and person's experience, and the KYC contract and timeline. Thanks, Olu, for contributing that. I'm sure they've also seen my screen that I shared. These are even permanent jobs, showing 100K and the likes. Right. So here you have the account details to secure your slots. Right. So we are currently on a discount, which is might, end very soon. So you want to secure your slots before that ends. Right. So what of business analysis? Right. So what do you want to know about business analysis? Can you be more specific with your question? So do you provide work reference? Just like we said, the experience you will get within the course of the bootcamp will be added to your CV for the most recent experience, which will be verified when you get a job. Does that clarify, the work reference part? So are there lots of remote jobs for these roles? Oh, fantastic. Thanks for that question. One of the reasons a lot of people go for KYC related roles is because of how remote those roles are. So a lot of KYC compliance rules, they always work from home or at most hybrid, right? Because it's a job you can do from home. You don't need to be physically. It's not like a care job. You have to go to your location, your care homes or whatever. So you can do it from anywhere, and there's a variety. So once you start and you get your first job, the sky is the limit. Imagine you starting, you have a JP Morgan on your CV as your most recent experience. They will be rushing you now. And these are the kind of companies we've had our students get jobs in. So you have a JP Morgan, or you have a Barclays, or you have after that, your first job, even if you accept the first job at 30 something K, maybe clients onboarding analyst, that you're setting a path for yourself, right, towards what you really want to be eventually. So I want to believe that, we've spoken to everybody's situation and answered all the questions today. I don't know, do we have any more questions? So like we said, secure your slots before we are sold out. Secure your slots before, right, before all the what's it called, slots, right, are gone, because we don't like to have very large classes. We like to keep things within very good limits so that everybody can get personalized support, right? So do you do coaching for a job interview for non-students. Yes, so part of the things I listed as our standalone services is interview prep, CV optimization, LinkedIn optimization, and the likes. And coming soon, we have some other. We have a course that is starting soon as well, with our digital marketing bootcamp as well. If you want to learn more about our other tech courses, we have our tech summits happening next week. So you have an opportunity to also learn more. So for those that are asking about business analysis, there will be another session, to next week, 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. So make sure you don't miss it. Okay, so I think we have a question. In compliance, different regions use different guidelines or frameworks, as the case may be. For instance, financial services in Niger use IFRS and presidential guideline. In Niger, is that Niger or Niger? I want to assume that is Nigeria. Right, so the US and UK tend to align with the general data GDPR, right, and the SOC, System of Organizational Controls. Which of these guidelines will be covered? I lost a job interview in the UK recently because I was told experience in SOC is required. Right. So not all job interviews or job adverts out there is yours. That's just the truth. Right. And the reason why I say that is it's just like let's look at data analysis, for instance. There are like over 20 tools that data analysts can have. However, you can't be all. Right, but you know that the one that you are, there are jobs for it, and then you position yourself for jobs for that. And if you see that okay, there's a gap, I want to actually acquire more skill sets around, around this area as well. That okay, around this area, then you can also go for that. So, say for instance, you learn about 3 tools, but you are seeing that there's this 4 tool they started asking for. There's nothing wrong with reading more about it and being able to answer the questions, right? So I think SOC is it SOC or SOX? It's something that's Lumi, do you want to answer a question about the SOC? Is Lumi?
Sorry, what SOC?
System and organizations control. So I think it depends. So what job did you lose as well? I don't think the job might be within the scope of what we're also talking about, because even IFRS that you're talking about is an accounting standard and not a compliance or KYC related standard, right? So just like I said, there are so many jobs out there, but you can't be qualified for all the jobs out there. You need to search for the one that covers your area of interest and expertise, right? So this IFRS and presidential guideline, as I know them too, I don't know presidential guideline, and I want to assume Niger is Nigeria. If it's not Nigeria, then it means I don't know the country we are talking about. Right. So yeah, I think SOC is one of the guidelines. So it's just like saying ISO 9000, 27000 and the likes. They are all, something as well, but they can't be, so like now a course that is GRC, I think those are under GRC, for instance. A GRC course will not combine KYC and AML with it. While a KYC course, will not combine GRC with it, because they are 2 distinct career paths. I don't know if this explains your question. Lumi, don't worry about it. So can I ask a career specific question as it relates to my work experience, or if one desires career coaching and clarity before choosing one course? Is there a money back discount offer, or can I ask questions I have, please? Right. So you can ask those kind of questions, in the DM. We also have WhatsApp numbers. All these numbers you see on the screen, you can drop your questions for them or ask on Instagram, right? Yeah, you might not be able to get a call back today because it's not a working day. The consultants don't work weekend, but you can try to call any of these numbers on WhatsApp during working hours, or send a message on Instagram to get a chat back. So, Olu, I think that should answer your question. But we're always happy to answer your career specific questions. These calls are there. They call clients and students, and they call people every time during working hours, to answer their questions, get their feedbacks and all that. Right. My network is breaking. Is that true? Is my network breaking? So nobody heard me. Right.
Yes,
so I think
we heard it. It wasn't breaking.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. So I think I've answered all the questions. I love the kind of questions I got. They're very diverse, and so I want to believe we've learned 1 or 2 things today, because it's also for you to learn more about this career path, whether it's the one for you. And, I want to believe that I would see, a lot of you in class on the 10th of August. Like I said, you still have opportunity to pay in 2 installments. The closer we get to the start date, the less possible this is going to be as well. So thanks all for attending. In the absence of any other question, thanks Lumi as well for making our time to share your insights and knowledge and expertise with us. Thanks all for attending, and see you in class next week. So the DMs are always open. For those that joined late, the recording for this session will be uploaded on YouTube on Monday. The DMs are always open on Instagram. Send us a chat, and I'll personally respond to you as well. So let's have a great rest of our weekend, and cheers.